Okay, so in this short video, I'm going to show you guys how to get set up with Linux on a Windows machine. There's a couple of different ways of using Linux on a Windows machine. There's WSL, which is Windows Subsystem for Linux. But I personally prefer to use an Oracle Virtualbox and then get Ubuntu desktop setup. I just prefer having the desktop setup, and I usually dedicate one monitor to this Virtualbox and I do Linux magic in there. If you've already got a Mac machine, if you're running on the Mac OS, it's more or less the same in terms of the commands that you would use. Yeah, it's probably not worth installing Linux on a Mac machine. So the main reason, and probably the most important reason why I use Linux over Windows, is if you look at most job specs and most of the companies out there, they will probably prefer you to be able to do stuff in Linux as opposed to Windows. So essentially, knowing Linux is probably better for you in the open job market as opposed to Windows. So that's the main reason I actually choose to use Linux over Windows. But besides that, there's other reasons. I mean, there's no licensing fee. Linux is completely free. There's other things such as stability and performance. On Windows machine, you regularly get updates, which is a massive annoyance. And since I've been using Linux, I've probably done a couple of updates over the course of maybe 5 years. Yeah, it's very customizable. Some people like how customizable it is. The main reason I really prefer using Linux is I'm very familiar with the command line interface, and I think you'll find that the command line interface is probably more friendly. I might just be biased in saying that, but it's 100% true. Definitely more friendly, maybe. So in this video, you're going to be following along to some of the stuff I do on the browser. I'll attach some links in the description below. The first, what you want to do is head over to Google and we'll start searching for, let's spell it right first, Oracle VirtualBox download. Click this link here, and then depending on what host machine you're running on, so in our case we're running on a Windows host, we'll click this Windows host. The download has started. It's a very quick download. It's already completed. Open this up. You just need to give the application permissions, and we'll cycle through this next. Okay, so I've already got it installed. For this tutorial, what I'll do, I'll remove it and then we can sort of set it up together. Okay, we'll fast forward a little bit now to the point where the download is completed. So now the download's finished. Let's open it up now. Okay, so now mine's been removed. I can start the install. Yeah, you can just sort of skip next. You can change the location here if you want to, but I'll just leave it as a default location. Cycle through this. Does anybody read warnings? Yes, install. Okay, so this might take several minutes. I'll come back once the download's completed. Okay, so now the download's completed, we can start Oracle VM after installation. Okay, so now in here, this is an old machine which I had installed. I can remove that for the sake of this tutorial. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just add a new one. The next step is to download the Ubuntu image. So now that we've got Oracle VirtualBox downloaded, we'll download the Ubuntu desktop image. So we'll do that by Google searching Ubuntu desktop download. Click this link and you'll come onto this page. There's two versions here. So 23.10 only has support till July 2024. This top one has support till April 2027. So future-proof the system. Let's download this one. The download will start automatically. I'll come back once that download has completed. Okay, so now that the download has completed, let's open our VirtualBox. Now we're in our VirtualBox manager. We can create a new machine. Create new, name it whatever you want. I'll name it tutorial. And then in our ISO image, here's the bit that we need to find the Ubuntu desktop we just downloaded. So this is the latest one. So I'll click that, open, and it's got to be this .iso, it's got to be this image file. And this will auto-populate type Linux version Ubuntu. You can skip the unattended installation, but it's probably better to sort of go through this and you can set a few of the things you need to. Here, put in a password. I think the default password might be VBox user, I'm not sure. So what we'll do, we'll continue to press next, allocate some memory and some of the processes. I usually do some virtualization on my Ubuntu machine, so I'm gonna add a bit more memory. Just make sure you sort of keep it in this green line so it doesn't affect your host machine. I've got 20 gigabytes of memory on there, and I'm gonna allocate 12 CPUs. Press next. Disk space, again, this is a storage. 25 gig is the default. I'll leave it on the default. Next, finish. So now we've finished. What we can do now is it's powering the VM up. You can see that on the right hand side, and you've just got to wait. If you've got this green V sign, that means everything's fine, everything's running as it's supposed to. Sometimes on Windows machine, you can get a green turtle. If the green turtle's there, that means your VM's running slow, and then you need to do a bit more debugging in the system. Some of the things you have to do is turn off the Windows hypervisor. Okay, so now the machine's starting up. Continue the video after it's done that. Okay, so now that the machine started up, yeah, it makes a nice fancy sound. Lovely. So now it's just installing and configuring a few things. This might take a bit of time. I'll resume the video once this is done. Okay, now that our VM has been set up, all the files have finished copying and we've finished its configuration. Let's sign in. Okay, once we've signed in, if you want to connect some of your online accounts, you can. I'll just skip. I think if you go pro, you might have to pay for some stuff. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just get it set up. Don't send info. Got trust issues. Yeah, next. Just skip everything. Okay, allows applications. I'll just leave that off. Yeah, out of these, the only one I probably really install is this Visual Studio Code. Okay, now we're set up. We can just check if things are running. Go into our terminal. We're here. Yeah, okay, that's all set up. One of the other things that you can do is, it's a bit of an annoyance that this virtual machine doesn't cover the entire monitor. It's kind of cut off at the edges. So what you'll do here is you go to devices, you insert guest, went over that fast. So yeah, so devices, insert guest edition CD images. You'll get this little CD pop up here. Press the CD, run the software. Sometimes that works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, in this case, I don't think it's going to work for me. So what I'll do is I'll just open in terminal. And what we want to do is we want to run this script here. So what we want to do, we want to run that script. So we'll do this in this current directory, autorun.sh. Put our password in, and his administrator credentials, authenticate. Okay, now it's installing some stuff, modules, whatever, and it'll sort of, okay, I'll come back once it's downloaded. Okay, once it's downloaded, it's going to tell us to press return to close this window. We'll do that. And then what you can do is you can restart your system, type reboot, enter, and it'll just reboot your virtual machine. Now it's finished doing its magic. Let's sign in. I'm getting a bit of screen tearing when I'm opening my virtual machine. So what we can do now is change some of the settings. Click on our virtual machine, go into the settings, display, allocate more video memory. I tend to max it out. This, I tend to, boot order optical first. Okay, let's start that now. Okay, so now it's loading up and it looks like it's hit the full screen. Let's cross that, that's annoying. Sign in. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so now your Ubuntu desktop's running in full screen. There's other customizations that you can do. I might do a video later on about some of the stuff you can change in here. But yeah, now you're all set and ready. Yeah, you can go in here in your terminal. You can create some scripts in here. You can start playing around. But yeah, now you're nice and set up, ready to go.